Sure, yeah. As everybody comes on in, please take, looks like one of these for every 2 people or so. So we can find enough to pass around the room. Just
Okay,
pass
guys,
around one for 2 people.
Come on in. Ollie, Oxford.
One for 2 people.
1, 2.
Bus Hollis is leaving.
The bus is
How's everybody doing? There's some word sheets coming around. Word sheets coming around. Just grab one for 2 or 3 people. Try and make them last. Word sheets. Gentlemen, you'll want at least one. You can stand next to me and sing with me.
All right.
So I've been, this is a first for me as well as for you, or for many of you going to Morocco. So I've been searching around for Moroccan music we can enjoy on the buses on our trip. Yes, some of this. I've been canvassing.
The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Oh, sorry.
You can make it Moroccan if you added what's called silsulim, which are these very, very florid movements that they do musically. So I've been canvassing my cousin Albert, who was born in Morocco, who lives in Montreal. Asked him about stuff. I asked cantor Ben Susan. I called my neighbor Israel Pinson, whose family is also from Morocco. And every song I found is like the most complicated, crazy thing with 17 different melodies and many verses. So this is the simplest one I found so far. You'll find it a little more complicated than the stuff we sing in Israel, but I'm still on the search for the row your boat of the Moroccan Jewish community. When I find it, you'll be the second to know. So the words are Ozreini. Say after me, Ozreini. El. Chai. So help me, living God. Lehachnia. And the melody goes, Ozreini el Chai. Try that. Ozreini el Chai. You guys you guys have Sephardic roots? Look at you, just did that the first time. Try it again. 2, 3, 4. Ozreini el Chai. Lehachnia. So it's got a little motions there. It goes Lehachnia. Just try that with me. Ready? Lehachnia. I don't know. Just go like, and it works. I find. Ready? From the beginning. 2. Now we're going. 2, 3, 4. Ozreini el Chai. Lehachnia. Repeats again. Nice. And the second was, help me, God, with my evil inclination. So I know there's some troublemakers on the bus, so when things get a little out of hand, I'm going to pull this song out. We'll get our evil inclinations in line for the next day. Ready? So try it again. I'll teach you the second half. 2, 3, 4. Ozreini el Chai lehachnia. Repeat. Ozreini el Chai lehachnia. Goes et yetzer. Try that. Et yetzer hamefater. Try that. Hamefater. Put them together. Et yetzer hamefater. Your turn. Et yetzer hamefater. Hameria. Last part. Hameria. And then it goes again. Et yetzer hamefater. Hameria. Confused enough? Right? So men, we're in Morocco, you want to sing it like a man, and women sing it like women. And in Morocco, actually, they do the females do the, not the men though. So in the bridge, maybe we'll throw that in if you feel, I'll take the lead on that. Ready? Let's stand up, get our blood flowing.
There we go.
Don't look at me like that. You got 2 weeks with me. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Ozreini el Chai lehachnia. Ozreini el Chai lehachnia. Et yetzer hamefater hameria. Et yetzer hamefater hameri. Let's hear the 1, 2, 3. The women, thanks. And dance solo. 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Last time, everybody. 3, 4.
Applause.
You guys did great.
Give a round of applause. Excellent.
That was very nice.
Okay, everyone sit down now, please. Okay. By the way, if you were a young group of people, you would have all memorized those words by now. But you'll spend a couple hours with them. Okay, let's talk about how many of you have been on trips with us before? Raise your hands. Okay? That's the greatest part of what we do, is the fact that these people are coming back is an implication that we kind of know how to do this and have a lot of fun. Any of you go to camp or send a kid to camp this summer and stand by a bus and wave to them? A grandchild? Come on, I was at Tamarack bus this year. So, no one else? I was at the Tamarack bus, and the kids get on the bus. Remember this when you were kids? You did some of that? And you said, oh, my God, I wish I could be getting on that bus. That's what you're doing. That is really the truth. That's what you're doing. We're going to camp, guys. And you're going to pack a certain amount of food. You sneak things with you. You'll have things you're not supposed to have in the bus. And the only difference is we don't care when you go to bed. We really don't care when you wake up. We just need you on a bus at a certain time. And you have responsibilities to each other to make sure that you're where you're supposed to be. This is to experience something special in the most fun, enjoyable, exciting way. So actually, I only have one rule. Having taken about 273 different trips with groups, we don't want to hear you complain. If you are someone who has a tendency to complain, please don't pay the final payment tomorrow. We have a big waiting list. We want some of them on the trip, in fact. We're going to have a great time. If there are issues and questions, we're there to help. Rabbi Yedwab's going to give you a lot more information, and he's going to tell you where to get more information and how to get all the answers. But fundamentally, you're taking a couple weeks to experience something as a group where we're going to have layers of teachers and instructors, and all the things that we don't know will be shared by those who really do know. You're going to get to know people you don't know at all, and you're going to have fun with them. And you may think you're going to be best friends with the people you went with who were your best friends. You're going to leave with new best friends and people you really care about who you never thought you would meet and never would have had the opportunity to meet. Think of this as a camp adventure for adults. And it's the exciting moment shared with people of like background. We all come from the same communities. Enjoy yourself. It'll be fine. You will come home happier. You will come home and, raise those hands again if you've been with us before. You will sign up for our next trip, which we have yet to think about where we're going to go. But you will, because we love being on these Temple Israel trips. And you become more involved, hopefully, in our community. And that's also important. And finally, when you learn about a new Jewish culture, and I thought he was really fabulous tonight, you learn about a culture you really know very little about. You get a deeper understanding and appreciation of your own Jewish culture, and that's why we do these. These are not just trips. These are opportunities for rabbis and cantors to travel with you, to hopefully give you a deeper sense of what it means to be a part of the Jewish people, experiencing other people who have never been a part of your life before. Thank you for being here. You want to hear any more stuff? You want to just go home now? You tired? No, Rabbi Yedwab, you have much to share. Well, I'm going to be Tzvika. I'm Tzvi on these trips. I'm not Harold. And the last thing I want to have you do is yell, Rabbi, in the middle of in Israel, it's impossible. Micha?
I'm going to be Ahmed, actually.
Ahmed. And?
I don't want to stick out. I want to be Ahmed.
And?
I think I'm sticking with Izzy. First time in Morocco, but I can't let go of the name.
Izzy.
My middle name is Yisrael. So.
Micha.
So what?
And you'll meet our wives who are not here this evening. She's a Shoshi, a
Wendy.
Very uncreative choice of
Because her
name.
Hebrew name is
Wendy.
Lavana, which means white girl.
It is true.
She doesn't like it very much. What Rabbi Tzvika just shared with you is the constant with all of the missions of Temple Israel. And what I'm going to share with you is actually one thing that separates this mission from every other mission we've ever taken. In the past, we've always allowed you to, in these meetings, to ask questions. And truthfully, we knew every single answer. Harold led, 800 trips to Israel. I've led 400. Izzy even now is up there into the teens. And if the guide went down for some reason, we could guide the trip. If the bus driver got sick, we could drive the bus. I mean, we really know that itinerary as well as anyone in this world. When it comes to Morocco, you'll ask us a question, and we'll answer because we're rabbis and we're used to making up answers, but it won't be the right answer. So I really encourage you, if you have any questions about any logistical aspect of your trip, when you're leaving, when you're coming, which hotel you're going to, what about the airport transfer, just call Arts of World. Mika is her name. She's wonderful. She's amazing at Arts of World. They will give you the correct answers, okay? So that's the first thing. That does distinguish this from it. We're going to be learning along with you and experiencing it for the first time. By the way, with 3 amazing guides. 2 of them we have traveled before, Michal and Iran, who are unbelievable. And the third is their best friend. So we are very blessed with our educators coming from Israel. And then we'll have local guides on the bus as well. So that's the first thing. Make sure that Arts of World is your source of information. There are a few things we have to talk about. The payment is tomorrow. And as Rabbi Loss quipped, there is a very long waiting list. So, if you don't want to come, don't come. No, we want you all. You're great. But really, tomorrow's the day to make the final decision. But I don't know how to say this. When a trip is run by rabbis, we basically sell the store, right, for nothing. So we've had situations in the past where people have had to drop out of the trip for medical issues or things that made our heart, hurt. And because we're rabbis, we took the money from the discretionary fund and paid their deposits or whatever we had to do. And the executive committee found out about it, and we can't do that anymore. And the reason I'm saying that is you must have travel insurance. The travel insurance that the Arts of World is suggesting is a very good one, Travel Insure. You could use your own, it doesn't matter, but you really must have travel insurance, both for cancellation and also if anything happens over there. Although I must tell you that Morocco was just named one of the 10 safest destinations in the world to travel to. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't watch your wallet and so on, but it was. And Arts of World has a very strong infrastructure there to be able to deal with any situation that arises. Still, you must have insurance. Everyone got that? Okay, travel insurance. Passports. I know it's crazy, but your passports have to be good for some ridiculous amount of time after the trip returns. So please, tonight, if you haven't done it, go home. Take the passport out, look at the date, make sure it's valid for much further past the trip. If it's not, you have plenty of time to get a new one. They talk about keeping a copy of your passport. You can certainly do that. I do still, but I also have an app on this phone called Mobile Passport. And it is a very convenient way to keep your passport, a copy of your passport with you. Mobile Passport, there are other apps as well. Inoculations. So there's a sheet out back, a blue sheet, I think. There is nothing authoritative about this sheet whatsoever. I just took it off of some website online before the meeting. You really should talk to your own doctor about what she or he suggests in terms of inoculations. It's not as crazy as some of the other destinations, but you should talk to your own doctor. Lisa Garfinkel, who works at CVS, was kind enough to suggest that perhaps after our next lecture or before, She could actually bring some of these inoculations here and do them as long as you bring your card. If not, there's a place on Northwestern that specializes in travel inoculations. There's a place on Orchard Lake Road. Just make sure that you've discussed it with your doctor. This is just a reminder that that's an issue, okay? We talked about final payment tomorrow. So one of the questions people have been calling me about is, Rabbi, why do you add all these extra people? Why are there so many people coming to Morocco? We didn't, okay? This was always intended to be a 2-bus or a 3-bus trip. That's because we want to take Izzy with us, and we really like having him with us. But what did happen is that we were at about 95, 98 participants, which would have made for 2 very crowded buses. And we realized that because there's such long bus rides that was not ideal. Arts of World was fought for us to get about 4 additional hotel rooms. We were able to, this is a year ago, we were able to add 8 people, I think, and those 8 people got us into an extra bus, which means that we now have 3 very small buses. I mean, the buses are the same size, but 3 buses of 30-something people instead of 2 buses of 50 people. So you will actually be on a smaller trip because your bus is really the center of your world, right? When you get to dinner, yes, there'll be more people around that you know instead of people from Temple Beth, Ishkabibble. There'll be people from Temple Israel that you can go and schmooze with, but your experience on your bus is actually going to be more intimate than it would have been the other way around. Does everyone understand what we're talking about? Okay? Anything? Okay. So, which brings me to the issue of how those buses get set. I have heard rumors that some of you have already set your own buses already. I want you to that I set the buses. So if you want to be on a good bus, I do take bribes, and just make sure that you're really nice to me over the next, the course of the night. But no, it's really true, is that we really do want people to meet. You come home with your best new friends, right? And Karen's shaking her head. That is what happens. The people, it's amazing. Of course, there may be, like for instance, the Curhans and the Folbys are both coming on this trip, right? And they happen to be related, brother and sister, right? And I had to decide whether or not I should put them on the same bus or on different buses. Turns out they want to be on the same bus. They're traveling together. If there's someone that you are truly traveling with, of course, there'll be a form, you'll fill it out, we'll make sure that happens. But that's not a group of 16, okay? That's just like 2 or 3, That's what we're talking about. So yes, we want you to be with your best friends, but not with your posse. Okay. Okay. I did want to talk about why Morocco. I think you're getting some sense of it. Rabbi Lawson and I took, in a few years, we took something like 300 or 400 people to Eastern Europe. And those are wonderful trips, and I'm glad we went. But I have to be honest with you, and I'm speaking, he can speak for himself, but for me personally, Eastern Europe, it was never where my academic interests lied. I've always felt that Sephardic Judaism is more interesting, more exciting, more relevant to our lives as American Jews here, if you will, assimilated Jews here in America. I've always been attracted to Sephardic culture. I just think it's really, really interesting. And so we were taken by Arts of World to Spain, because that is the center of Sephardic Judaism. And we thought we were going to have a trip to Spain. And what happened was we realized that when you kick all your Jews out in 1492, that it sort of creates a little bit of lapse in Jewish culture, and it felt like we were visiting a museum. And everyone that we met there said, oh, well, if you want to talk about vibrant Jewish cultures that are not, long, you have to go to Morocco. And that's really how Morocco occurred. We are very excited. By the way, Spain's a beautiful place. If you want to go with your 2 friends and go to Barcelona, it's a fabulous thing to do. But if you want to go on a trip that's going to make you understand your Judaism in a more intense and powerful way, Morocco's the place to go. That's why we're doing Morocco, and I'm glad you're all coming with us. in the packet that you got from Arts World, they gave you some movies and some books to read. I highly, highly recommend that you do it. If not, you'll be getting it. You'll get it. I highly recommend that you start reading novels, stories, books. Next time we meet will be just for a lecture. There's no meeting afterwards. I'm going to try to set up a Moroccan movie for us, to enjoy together for that hour time slot that we have right now. We'll see how that works. We'll either be getting inoculations or a movie. I'm not sure which one, but we'll be doing one of the two things. I think we're going to leave, unless you insist, we're going to leave the whole thing of packing. Shosh does an amazing packing lecture. So for our second meeting, we'll do packing. We'll leave that whole issue for then. Just know, good walking shoes, some warm clothing because it does get cool in the evenings, something against the rain, you'll be fine. And don't overpack. That's basically the lecture, but you'll get a more in-depth version of that. We'll leave tipping for the last meeting. Usually when we have illness on these trips, and I would say, I'm making this number up, but I think 85% of the time when we have illness on these trips, it's hydration. We're going to be really fun and nice about everything else. We are going to be like your worst nightmare of a nagging mother about drinking a lot of water. You come into the country, you're already hydrated because you've been on a plane for 10 hours, and then you start off hiking, and then once that cycle starts, that's how people get ill. So there's gonna be water available on the bus. We're gonna ask you to bring water bottles so that you can fill up on the good water that you find, which is not, by the way, out of the faucets. You're not gonna be drinking water out of the faucets, but potable water that we'll find. We'll have water on the bus. We're gonna drink, and which makes it especially fun because whenever we have dinners together, they also serve wine. So drink, but first have your water. That's the most important thing. So, Rabbi Loss mentioned something, or Tzvi mentioned something really interesting. This is an adult trip, right? We're not going to be checking your beds at bedtime or worrying about whether you have, a glass of wine at dinner. That's not our job. But it is important that we're on the bus on time every morning. And when we come back from, when we stop at different events. Now, and here in Israel, when that would happen, someone would not show up or, we could say, hey, text them and say, meet us at the next museum or the next site. Because we knew exactly we knew how to get a cab, we knew what it would cost, we knew, I have no idea how to get from one place to the other in Morocco. I highly suggest you actually make it to the bus. If not, you'll tell us what cabs are like in Morocco, but basically, we're going to go. The trip is going to go on schedule, and meet us in Fez. I'm sure you'll find your way. But it's more important on this mission than it has been if you've been with us on other missions where we're, But the bus is going to leave. I promise, because we got to get to the next spot. Okay, the last one is about money. Again, an app. Mine is called Currency Converter. I highly recommend you get it. We do need to use Moroccan dirhams, I think they're called. The last time I looked on my currency converter, I think each one was worth about 10 cents, which is very good because it's easy. But nonetheless, get Currency Converter. WhatsApp is a good app to get also to communicate with your family and friends when you're on the internet. Really good thing to do. We'll talk about phones next time, but WhatsApp is a good app to get. And I think that is the list. Anything that we've missed? Any questions that you have? Yeah. Yeah, there's Currency Converter, or any currency converter. Mine's called Currency Converter. There's Mobile Passport, or any passport holding, and there's WhatsApp, which is a communication app. Okay, good. Anything else? Yeah. No, they will take euros and dollars sometimes, but not in the small. They'll take credit cards in many places, but you can't always trust. One thing that I read about in the Arts of World material, which was I'm having a hard time believing it. But in Israel or in Mexico or anywhere else I've ever been, you got to, should I change my money in the airport? Should I change my money on the street? Should I change it before I get there? According to their information, by law in Morocco, every exchange place has to charge the same amount. I'm having a hard time getting my grasping it, but if it's true, that would be great. You know, yeah.
The only advice in currency, don't bring a lot of dollars. I mean, I always had a guy who brought $4,000 or $5,000 in cash, and on an Israel, this is a true story. You can't make up these guys, and it was stolen. And he had a decision whether or not to enjoy the rest of his trip, which he did. You don't have to carry a ton of cash. You want to have some American money with you. Obviously, we all do when we travel all over. I think you've gotten all the answers. I think trusting our travel agent to give you a lot of the answers will be perfect. And
let me just, one more thing. There is a confusing thing for those of you not going on the extension who are leaving on the 20th at 8:10 in the morning on the Delta flight, which is I should mention that too. Let me talk about flights for 1 second.
good.
You don't have to take the group flight. There are advantages to taking a group fare. It's actually a very good fare, just monetarily. There's also flexibility. If something happened and you had to cancel up to a certain date, you get your money back. You don't have to worry about fighting with Delta. There's some real advantages. There are disadvantages. You can't upgrade as easily, or at least until a certain time. You'll make your own decision. If you're flying in, though, and using points, let's say, try to be on the same plane if you can. It makes life easier. However, there is a problem with the return home to America for those who are leaving on the 20th. Now, if you're staying over the 21st, this will be different, but those leaving on the 20th. The only viable flight to come home to Detroit is the 8:10 flight in the morning. You can't take, even if you think you can, don't sign up for that 11 o'clock flight because it's about 45-minute layover in Paris, and you'll never make it from point A to point B, okay? So the only viable flight is that 8:10 flight. The problem is we're staying 3 hours away the night before. We're gonna have an amazing banquet, it's gonna be unbelievable, and you'll go to bed, but if you think about it, 8:10, you gotta be at the airport at 5 something. So the bus has to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning. Not ideal. Now, for those of you who decide to do that, it's not as bad as you think. Because having a short night of sleep on that last night, what does that mean on the plane? That you're gonna get to sleep and you may actually wake up in Detroit better off, but nonetheless, it's miserable. Let's be honest about it, it's terrible. So people have another option, which is that you can, well, there's several. You can leave right from, you can arrange with Art to World to leave right from the banquet and head over to Casablanca that evening. There is a problem, however. If you stay in a hotel in Casablanca proper, a nice hotel, like a Marriott, I think it's a Marriott, Hyatt. If you stay in that hotel, beautiful hotel, right? It's like an hour and a half drive to get to the airport. So you're not waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but you're waking up earlier than you would like. There is an airport hotel, which we are selling, if you will, but Arts of World is not putting their imprimatur behind. They said, Paul, you don't want your people to stay there. I said, I'm staying there. I don't care. I'm gonna, wrap myself in plastic, go to bed, and I'm gonna get up in the morning and take the transport to the airport. That's what I want to do. So those are your three options. 2 o'clock in the morning, night before, get to Casablanca, but still wake up early for the hour and a half commute to the airport, or stay at the airport hotel, which Arts of World does not recommend.
It's on your account.
That's right. Everyone has a decision, yeah.
So is there a difference if we stay back at the Marrakesh hotel as opposed to staying at the not-so-nice hotel at the airport?
Right. Then you wake up at 2, you should, but then you wake up at 2 o'clock for the.
Yeah. Is there a price difference at all?
No, there's no price difference, no. It's really just what you decide. Unless you have, some people are going to make some other, they're going to try to create some other thing, and then you'll have to work that out with Arts of World. But those options are all built in. Yeah. Yeah, the extension has a similar problem as well. It does, but no, actually not. The extension is now flying into Casablanca. The extension is now flying into Casablanca, so you don't have that. Yeah, but you don't have that 2 o'clock in the morning thing. Yeah, you still have that issue, right? Yeah. Right after the banquet. I don't know. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it would be. Midnight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Right. The only good option is to fly to Portugal and have a good time the next day. I mean, that's the only good option that I can think of. But that's on your own. That's on your own cheshbon, as we say in Hebrew. Right there, we got some thumbs up on that one. Okay, I think that really now is everything that we need to tell you. Yes, Didi. Yes, some people are coming in early, which is great. And Tzvi and Shosh are going to meet you for dinner that night before, and they're going to treat you out of their own. And they're going to entertain you that evening. If you come in earlier, we'll have a little bit of group dinner, but that's up to you. We'll pick a restaurant. We'll tell you when it is. If you want to come, you'll come. If you don't, you don't have to.
We get there. We get early because we need a couple of days beforehand. We want to be ready for you all, young people that you are. So we've been doing that for a long time.
Are you raising your hand to volunteer to sing the song back? Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, all of the fancier hotels, shops, and everything will take your credit cards. Some won't. So that's why we have to have some of the dirhams, I think they're called. Dirhams? Whatever I go. Yeah.
If we're coming in early on the 10th,
Yeah.
is there transportation for us? Or
No, well, if you're coming in early, they will arrange to make a transfer. If they charge you something for it, it's not going to be a lot of money. Yeah. Yeah.
Are the rabbis going into the desert?
Yes. Tzvi is the lead rabbi going to the desert, and I am there to make sure that he doesn't fall off the camel. So that's basically the
Dirham.
dirham, right?
Dirham.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I said, right? Yeah.
Okay, so this is the farewell dinner in Marrakesh.
Yeah.
And you said you
Personally, I'm going to Barcelona. I mean to Portugal. So, yeah. Forget you guys.
I'm with you. I'll spend the night in the hotel with you.
Yeah.
It's the high. I think. No. The one in the.
Are you talking about on the extension or on the? Okay, yeah. So, Bart. So the three options are the hotel back. Right after you have your meal. You go back to your hotel that you've been in. You go to sleep. You get woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning. You drive to the airport. Second option. 3-hour drive. Yes. Second option. You leave the banquet. You get in some sort of car or whatever it's going to be, a minibus. They take you to the airport hotel, and you pray that there are no bed bugs. The third option is that that you leave the banquet. You get into some sort of car, and they drop you off at the Hyatt, but you have to get up at whatever it is, the Marriott, the Hyatt, whatever it is, and you have to get up at what, 3:30ish, 4 o'clock or something? Yeah, 3:30 to get to the airport on time.
And if you have to follow, guys, we're giving you general. Feel free to call
Yeah.
Arts World, and they're going to have a conversation with you and clarify what we're trying to give you the broad lines. Then make a decision how you want to handle it. And then if you need anybody needs to talk to Delta and change your tickets, I'm a really
He is. He's the.
10%. I will get your tickets changed for nothing. I know how to talk to these people. So here's the message.
He is the Delta whisperer. It's true.
You call up and you talk nicely to the people.
You flirt with the people.
You say, how's the weather? Where do you live? Have you had a good day? Has it been a
Speaking of changing tickets, this is very important. I'm so glad you said that. So I know many of you decided not to come with us to the desert because of the long bus ride there and the long bus ride back. As you probably read, Arts of World, amazingly, a new flight opened up. We got the first 30 seats on the flight, like brand new flight. They got the seats for us. We're flying from the desert back to Casablanca, so a lot of that problem is mitigated. There are a few, they also got a few extra, they told me yesterday, they got a few extra hotel rooms. So if you did not go on the desert because of the bus ride and you want to add on, please call them tomorrow and get yourself onto the desert. And if you need your plane ticket changed as a result, Tzvi will do it for you, so. Yeah.
On me, you shouldn't really count.
About this, but she never got back to me. So once they add, that's only for the desert, the flight.
That's just for the desert.
Once they added that flight, the trip is basically 2 weeks. So is there a luggage requirement different on an inner?
That's one of those questions that I'm going to say, I am so tempted to make up an answer to that question, but I'm really going to let them do that. I will ask them that question and let you know. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. I will ask them that question. That's a good enough question that I'll ask them. Yeah.
Who are leaving the night after the banquet and going back to Casablanca?
Yeah.
Is ARSA responsible for our transportation?
A lot of it depends on the numbers of people going. As I said, please deal directly with them on that. I am really not organizing that. They are. So they'll let you know. If it is, it's not going to be enough that it's going to make a difference in your life, I promise. There was something back there? Yeah.
How many people are going to the desert?
Well, right now we're about 30, and I think they opened up another 6 spots or so. So if anyone wants to come, we have a few more spaces to go. Okay, going once, going twice.
Thank you for being here.
Sold. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that at the packing meeting.